Let's go in game. And hey, Popovich actually has the damage done to his health bar on here. Crazy. Madness. So it's actually working, perhaps. Who even knows? Who even knows? What's up, Fade Angel? How you doing, buddy? As we kick off into this, it is Ryung versus Forte, our first matchup of this best of 7 again. Ryung will be representing True Esports. Forte representing isIMBA. And it really is a matchup that could be... I mean, isIMBA, for me, were actually one of the favorites to come through and take a playoff position, quite controversially. A lot of people were like, what are you on about? isIMBA have no chance of making the playoffs. But I really think they do. And if they can take down True Esports, I don't know who's really left to stop them and to slow them down from kind of just getting a playoff sort of score for themselves. So with that said, let's go in game and introduce these players. Top left-hand side, representing True Esports. Our red Terran player in this first game of the best of 7 is Ryung. And our blue Terran to the bottom right-hand side is going to be Forte from isIMBA, of course. So setting up into this, let me just actually update the title with the actual names of the players. Sometimes I feel when we cast Team League, a lot of people don't realize just which players are in these sort of teams. You know, sometimes people don't realize just how strong a team isIMBA is with a couple of strong Korean players in. I mean, Forte and Armani, they're not your GSL champions. They're not even your GSL round of 4, round of 8 players, or even half the time round of 16. But they are players who in a Team League format like this can be very, very deadly. You know, they are players who can win a best of 1 against the, most Korean opponents, against most top foreigners as well. So there really is... this could go down any which way. It really, really can as we set up into this. And look to see what's going to happen in this TVT, which is going to start with a command center first on either side of the map. Cross spawns for both players here in the very early stages as well. So, cross spawns, a second gas going to come down from both two. So far, just mirroring each other, with the first Reaper coming out and then going straight into that reactor as a follow-up. Both players actually leaving their Reaper in a pretty similar position, just looking to kind of intercept a Reaper that might hop up to the high ground and try and scout in the near future. Just got to take a bit of a gamble as to which direction that Reaper may come in from. So, Reapers are just going to sit here, and again, that factory is going to be finishing up in the next few moments. The factory will finish, the reactor will come up on the barracks, and we'll have a look to see where this expansion-based play on the TVT goes from here. When people say foreigners, they're referring to people, or referring to anyone that isn't Korean, yeah. It is a bit weird, but it's just because of the Korean dominance, and because Brood War was where kind of StarCraft 2 esports really became a thing. A lot of the competition for Brood War, a lot of the high-level competition was obviously in Korea. And so the foreigners were kind of anyone who went to compete in Korea that was non-Korean, and that sort of carried over. It's just because of the Korean dominance in the game, basically. So, it's cool. It's different. It's just a term that's been around for a very long time. I mean, I think when I got into StarCraft, foreigners, the idea of someone being called a foreigner was a thing, and that was years and years ago now, and I got involved in StarCraft too, so it was way after this became a thing, so... Anyways, just going to see this Reaper. We just saw a little bit of a skirmish between the two Reapers as a Hellion will come to the center for Forte. Really nothing too crazy going on though. I mean, a Cyclone comes up for Ryung. He will be going for a different build compared to Forte in these early stages. We see the Raven is on the way out from Forte at the moment, which has been maybe a more common way to open a couple of Ravens and just going from there, using those auto turrets to harass, stay safe, break positions, and all the rest of it. Well, in the meantime, Ryung going to go for a medevac, which obviously means he wants to drop a bit more aggressively. And a couple of Cyclones can do a lot in their drop, you know. 2 Cyclones, they have a huge amount of damage output in the early stages. And when you have that medevac to micro with them, they are very difficult to kill. So they're almost guaranteed to find some sort of damage in the early stages of the game. So we'll see what he's able to do. He's actually going to lift up the Marines and boost across the map. He's going to let the Cyclones run across on their own. That still can lead into kind of the double Cyclone kind of drop play once those Marines get cleaned up, just as a follow-up to continue doing damage. Hellion, though, sees everything coming his way, sees the medevac as well, and he will know pretty much what this is. We'll probably assume that the medevac, without the Cyclones in it, has probably got Marines inside, and so he should have a pretty good idea as to what this is. But with a bunker at the front and a siege tank coming down the low ground, what it's going to be seen the front is very, very secure, and so we're just going to see the Marines instead lifting up and going towards the main. But Forte, knowing how secure his main low ground is just going to make sure his main base is just as safe with the Raven and Marines in location. And Ryung already just pulling back with a couple of these Cyclones. The medevac on the right-hand side will poke around and look to see if he can find anything else. Look to try and do some bits and pieces of damage, of course. As so far, so good on either side. I mean, Ryung, he's forcing these Ravens to stay at home, so they're not able to harass just yet. But on the other hand, the Ravens will have more value later than the investment, which was this early Medevac and the 2 Cyclones. Just because they're energy-based, generally the longer you have the Ravens up, the more you're going to get out of them compared to, say, in a, the Medevac. You're probably not going to get so much out of it as time goes by, especially if you lose it. Oh man, the auto turret does not drop down. And it does see this Medevac escaping up the right-hand side of the map. So, Medevac escapes up the right here. And we are just going to be seeing still the 2 Cyclones sat out the front, just waiting to see if they can do anything else as well, see if they can come in and get some further damage done also. So yeah, I mean, I guess just waiting. I mean, he's not really going to push through a bunker and 2 tanks. Just wants to keep the map control, keep the map presence. It is one thing that Ryung does have in his favor, given the way this has opened up with this Medevac on the map and the Cyclones as well. Again, just out there and looking to see what's happening. Marines will start to unload. A couple SCVs do get pulled over, and this Medevac will start to be repaired. So a little bit of a repair coming on down. Medevac coming back up to health. The Cyclone's going to pull away back in towards the center of the map. And yeah, as the Cyclones pull away in towards the center, we do just see all of these upgrades coming through for Ryung. Stim pack, combat shields, the +1 attack. All those upgrades coming through to kind of secure his bio play in towards the mid game. In the meantime, we see the Stim pack 1-1 upgrades from Forte as well, all coming through and looking to see what's going to happen. So the 1-1 is definitely an advantage for Forte, but you can just see Ryung does have overall quite a lead in the game, just because, maybe not a lead in the game, but he's got a lead in the army supply right now, and that's just because the 3rd CC was built earlier here by Forte. He went into a later set of barracks compared to Ryung, but because of that, he's actually going to get 4th and 5th racks faster than Ryung is. So while Ryung holds the advantages right now, he does have to try and find something sometime soon, to kind of gain an advantage for not having built his 3rd CC already. And that's what he's going to try and do with these couple of Medevacs units, but the reality is, tanks are sieged up, and there's no way Ryung pushes on into this. And one of Ryung's big timing potentials is going to be the combat shield timing. However, that's ready, or that's already set up, so if he wants to make that happen, it has to be starting sometime soon. He is going to boost across the map, so you can see he's pretty eager to maybe try and do something while he has combat shields and Forte does not. But man, I mean, 4 tanks at the front is going to make it very difficult. We might just have to try and loop around, maybe a big drop into the natural expansion. Depends how well Forte can keep the map control. So far, pretty decent, as we're going to be seeing maybe a drop in towards the main base. 5 Medevacs a unit. Ryung playing very riskily here, I suppose. It's very it's a very flimsy way to play, because any sort of anti-air could just shut this down. Marines in the right position. Let's see how the double Raven and the missile turret will do. He'll scan this, he'll boost forwards. Obviously, if a lot of auto turrets come down fast enough, then maybe it's going to be good. But I don't think the auto turrets alone are going to save this. They do target down the siege tank, though. I mean, that's one less tank in this army already. A Medevac does get shot out of the sky. And, well, these tanks are going to be sieged, but how many Marines are really left over? Is there enough to make something happen? With only 2 tanks here, I don't really think there is. 1 tank sieging up from Forte doesn't get killed off. SCV's pulling in, and Forte is going to be losing some work as Ryung loses everything, though. I mean, he gets out with the Medevacs and a handful of Marines, but really that's not a lot compared to how much he committed in there and how much he's killed. Workers killed 9. Resources lost is going to be just slightly favorable for Ryung. Is it making up for the later 3rd CC? Well, actually, Ryung is now 10 workers ahead, so it's sort of okay, but he's also still down a +1 armor upgrade, and his +2 weapons isn't that much faster either, so Ryung is still trailing in certain ways, and I mean, while Forte will be again behind on workers for just a few moments here, it is still something he should be able to start clawing his way back into, just because, I mean, 10 workers is a big deal, but 10 workers at the 9-minute mark is nowhere near as big of a deal as 10 workers, say, 5 minutes ago in this game. With triple CC up, 10 workers actually builds up in less than a minute, right? I mean, SCVs builds at 12 seconds. I mean, we're talking about 10 workers being rebuilt within just over half a minute, so it's really not that big of a deal. I was just going to see workers continue to pop out. It's crazy that workers only build in 12 seconds nowadays. Like, I still have, obviously, the old kind of build time in my head of, like, 19 seconds or whatever it was on the old time scale. It's crazy, man. Workers, they're just so fast. They just come out of nowhere. Anyways, we see the sensor tower coming down here from Forte as well. Getting set up and ready to go. And still these Marines, tanks, Medevacs moving around into the center of the map. More Marines, another tank, and 2 more Medevacs from the northern side. And still just setting up to see what might happen in the near future. +2/+2 from Forte is on the way down, as again these tanks are just having a look to see what's going to be going on, what's going to be happening. Another scan coming into play, and it's going to be seeing the Cyclone and this Marine just having a little bit of a skirmish over the side here. Tanks will siege once again. You see tanks on the low ground is going to be maybe a little bit of a bigger issue. Nice fire from Ryong, does pick off a tank right at the front. This sensor tower is still having a little bit of trouble right now, as you see some Marines just loading up and looking to see what they might be able to get done here. +1 vehicle weapons on the way on the armory also. And the siege tank on the low ground is going to be getting fired away upon in the meantime too as well. CC up to the northern side of the map as Forte does come in for a little bit of a drop though, and this is something which, well, there's actually enough Marines here. Forte apparently is going to fly away anyways. He doesn't commit those Marines forwards. Nice Vikings are actually going to be able to push forwards and slowly push away the medevacs, but he doesn't kill either of them somehow. A little bit of a lapse of concentration on both players here. Those medevacs may be flying away from where they should have initially been, and those Vikings just being allowed to fly on in. So players just kind of being distracted with other things happening on the map, such as this drop to the top side. As upgrades begin to even out a little bit, I mean, +2 armor will finish shortly, and then it'll be a little while until the +3 armor advantage kicks in for Forte. Not sure if he'll really be able to utilize that too much, as we see Ryong going to rebuild his 4th base in the base and his natural this time around. Don't actually see a 4th CC starting up from Forte just yet, and I guess that's just because he has been, throughout this game, a little bit behind on the worker count, and maybe just not quite mining as much as you imagine. As you're going to see Marines just stimming in. And a couple of Marines getting cleaned out, nothing too crazy. Neil's going to run over to the right-hand side. Still a lot of units up to the top here. This double drop can still be pretty annoying. I mean, Ryung's pretty much brought all of his reinforcements across the map, so he'll create a bit of an interesting scenario. He has his own Vikings here now to try and do something. He is a bit more successful with these. He stims forwards. I mean, he gets a good concave initially, but the tanks are set up. Now he's just going to use his own tanks in their position to hope they do enough. That scan does come down from Forte. Ryong not with the vision here to get the kill on this tank in time. Meanwhile, again, drop across the map, and this is problematic because Ryong, again, he pulled everything across the map. He left nothing at home to deal with this, bar a few reinforcements that were just recently popping out, but with no medevacs, those Marines do not really stand a chance. So Ryong loses a lot back at home. Suddenly he's down 20 workers in the game, which is quite a significant number, as we'll see finally Ryong enough reinforcements come through to push this back. Meanwhile, the army supplies are still pretty even while Ryong focuses at the front, but look at this, a drop onto these tanks. It's another nice, neat little play from Forte, just to clean out the position of Ryong, which is on the right-hand side at the moment. So that was some very powerful play, and that's pretty neat to see. As these Vikings still just patrolling a little bit here, Marines from Forte, looking to see what they can get up to as well. Sensor tower is going to be falling. And as this sensor tower falls down, we do still see the Vikings just pulling back a little bit here. A few Marines trying to stim on in, trying to chase those down. Tank's going to end-siege once again, and, well, just push a little bit further forwards. I mean, the Vikings give him the vision, but obviously Forte feels as though he has enough right now, and this is it, a huge concave. His tanks firing away, and that's so important, having the tanks to help out with this. It means that even when he runs out of Marines, the Marines of Ryong aren't really able to just push forwards and to keep on trading, not at all. Another drop in the back of the main. This time Ryong has got reinforcements, but his supply is really starting to disappear here. Now still 20 workers down. He's momentarily behind on upgrades, although he will get those finishing up for himself in the near future. Army supply is still relatively even, but obviously Forte with the more income will start to take a lead in that as time passes by. But no 4th base from Forte, which is kind of important to note as well. He's just lifting his main base up and moving it over now. So actually, Forte is very heavily oversaturated compared to Ryong, which is maybe kind of affecting the income. In fact, what is the income looking like? Forte is way down at the moment because obviously he's transferring a base over. I would be interested to see how it was if I'd realized that kind of a minute ago before you start to transfer that base. Maybe Ryong hasn't been mining as much or as badly as we kind of have been making it out to be, just simply because having so many workers stacked on one base when just oversaturating workers is a pretty huge deal. It pretty much nullifies the worker advantage sometimes. So, if this, well, look at this. You can see like 16 workers at least already were oversaturated. So that is, potentially kind of there. I mean, Ryong had a bit better saturation, but was oversaturated a bit himself. As we're just going to be seeing the tanks is going to be sieging up on the high ground. Scans on either side, as we're going to see again the medevac drop. Forte pretty relentless with these. Just never stopping, just continuously coming in again and again, looking for more opportunities as Vikings will take a trade, but there's more Vikings for Ryong, and he's also got the nearby SCVs to repair if he would like to as well. He wins this fight rather convincingly anyways, as again Marines stim in to push this back. One thing that Forte is going to start missing out on is the +3 mech weapon upgrade. That's something which is halfway done for Ryung, and so for someone who's been trailing throughout the game on upgrades, he will take an upgrade lead in one sense of the word here in the very near future. So that is coming up. More Marines and tanks, Vikings too, just going to join up in the center of these bases, and it looks as though Ryung wants to push out through the center of the map a little bit himself. Forte is still on the map though, and is in a position to loop around and set up new positions, so Ryung's still having to be cautious of that. And he will be cautious of that. He sends a few units over to the left-hand side. Big stim from Forte. Tanks will not siege instantly. Pulls the Marines back. Oh my god, there's just so many tanks for Forte. It's going to be a pretty crushing defeat for Ryung, who, again, just not with enough in position. What's the tank count actually at? 12 against 5. So Ryung just doesn't have enough tanks to really fight against this at all. So Marines will stim up and push forward, so you're not sure if they're really going to gain too much, but his third base is in a bit of trouble. Now this medevac drop over here begins to unload. Obviously the medevac drops have been very successful for Forte, and so Ryung may be trying a bit of his own look at these. And honestly, I mean, with the way things have been going, I mean, I guess it's maybe not the way things have been going, but sorry, the fact that Forte had just lifted his main base for 4th, they're very exposed bases, you know, no planetary fortress, so it is very possible to kind of clean up and to do a lot of damage to those bases just with a medevac drop or two. So that's a pretty big deal, as we're going to be seeing medevacs loading, going to unload back down to the low ground again. SCV is taking a bit more damage. More Marines, couple of tanks from Forte pushing up through into the center. You'll see 2 Marines picked off pretty much straight away here. And still 2 more Marines of Ryung going to come back down to the lower left-hand side and look to see what else is going to be happening. Going to boost up into the natural expansion, and still just a few tanks positioned out the front. A few more tanks in the back, a few more Marines as well, as he wants to push forward and see what he can do. These Marines from Forte just going to run on in almost straight away, and there's going to be this orbital command being pushed back almost instantly. As tanks can siege up once again. Still these Marines up in the main base doing a good job cleaning out the Marines off Ryung. From the south side, some Marines running as well. That medevac gets blown out of the sky, and that will pretty much be that. And that's Forte again, just moving forward with Marines, tanks, and medevacs. I like this. Stimming a few Marines ahead of the rest. Look to try and get a jump on his opponent's army. And still these tanks can unsiege once again. And now Ryung is set up in a huge concave against Forte here. Forte is the one who's going to be caught out. A lot of tanks. Well, so what? If there's enough Marines, these tanks will disappear. What a spread by Ryung. What an engagement. It goes fantastic for him now, as you'll see Forte just with a few more units coming up towards the center of the map. He'll stim in, and he's got a few more tanks ready to go. This game very much so back and forth. 18 minutes in as Forte builds a base to the left-hand side. 18 minutes in, and we're sat in a really kind of even position. At this point, Ryung could probably lift one base and relocate it, although it wouldn't be ideal. I mean, he has to do something, though, because his CCs are so oversaturated. I mean, there's just no point having so many of these workers here. This is 36 over 16. I mean, that's 20 workers, which are barely doing anything. I mean, straight up, it's just going to be over 10 workers doing absolutely nothing. Basically, the way saturation works is that 2 workers on each mineral line is optimal, and is the optimum efficiency. But you can still get a little bit more economy with a 3rd worker on each mineral patch. But obviously, it's nowhere near as effective as being on a fresh mineral patch, which is not already occupied by 2 workers. So, you know, up to 24 workers is doing something. Past 24 does nothing. But it's not doing anywhere near as much as it would do on a fresh base. So that's why we kind of say past 16 is very, very kind of minimal in terms of how much it affects. There's some graphs that are available somewhere. If you kind of Google kind of StarCraft saturation graphs, you'll probably find them, as this is a pretty big deal. Ryung loses an orbital command center, trying to float it down to the bottom left side to give him a 4th base, or 5th base, sorry. Doesn't happen, and now we do see Forte with a 5th base going to be planetary. I mean, at this point, Ryung might just want to consider trying to use the, well, trying to just build up a command center somewhere, float it over and morph it into a planetary, because I feel as though you need a planetary at this sort of point in the game to kind of hold, especially on Cactus Valley. It's a map where past the 4 bases, you are starting to spread yourself out very thinly. So I feel as though past the 4 bases, you probably want to be trying to, you know, just kind of, you know, having a planetary, because otherwise you're just going to have such a tough time in terms of defending. This planetary is going to go down immediately, though, because Forte is just out of position, so this base doesn't get much done in the end. As you're going to see, these medevacs will fly on through. The one medevac with low health is still alive as he flies into this position. He gets targeted down before he can properly unload. We'll see the medevacs of Forte responding to this drop, also being targeted, though. Ryung still working his way through this. Will get rid of this turret, so he has an escape path with this one medevac that remains. And he still has these units in the main base. Forte, well, he's got a tank here, and that tank will be revealed now to Ryung, so Ryung will just have to continue working his way through a few more of these depots and so on. Going down to the south side, Ryung looking to see what else is up. He is going to get pushed away pretty quickly. Still so many tanks from Forte. It's actually kind of crazy how many tanks he's got up once again. But he's down 40 Marines almost, so it's a much more mobile army for Ryung. He can definitely take better positions, and it's going to be difficult for Forte to push across the map. And so Ryung definitely should be taking advantage of these drops and this sort of play style, which he has been doing. It's been going well for him, but both players are starting to mine out. I mean, we're at this point where, you know, these mineral patches do not have much left on them at all. Resources loss is pretty much dead even. So it's all going to come down to how much you can mine from these external mineral patches, these external bases, which has been so difficult for either player to keep a hold of so far in the game, and so far in the series. Well, so far in the game, I guess, sorry. Quinta medevac drop. Not something you always hear, but I don't even know if that's the right phrasing, but 5 medevacs will start to drop in towards the main base. It's a lot of tanks. And this is going to be a lot of these production structures getting taken down, and the factories especially are a big deal, because all of a sudden Ryung is not going to be building any more tanks. A lot of the barracks relocated. In fact, that's pretty much all of his production. He only has 4 racks, and they're all up in the sky, or at least 3 of them are. I don't know where the 4th one is. I've got no idea. There it is. It's up in the sky as well. So Ryung can't build anything right now. He goes for a huge attack in through the center. Well, he's got a lot of Marines, but those tanks can definitely change things. Is it going to be enough as we enter what could just be one huge base trade? Ryung will get his way on this side of the map, and he will be able to start cleaning out. The army supply is 55 to 59, and Ryung realizes he has to get on top of the production. He cannot allow Forte to build much more. He can't allow Forte to get any more units out on this map, because that is just going to be problematic. This orbital command will lift up, as obviously just keeping as many bases alive here as possible will be very, very important. Actually, Forte, though, might just get a base to himself. I mean, that could be huge, but at the same time, he still needs to find a way to get production. So he's going to have to start rebuilding that almost immediately, and that's going to get a good chunk of economy. Marines will find this orbital floating to the bottom left. Ryung has got his own production up alive up here. He's still got SCVs he could build depots with as well. So it is actually Ryung who's in a better position in terms of being able to rebuild a little bit right now in this base trade scenario. 2 barracks escape to the top side. Let's just look at the structures tab. 1 planetary fortress against triple orbital. Triple racks still alive against 4 racks. I mean, yeah, the racks are staying alive, I guess, from Forte, and he does already have... He isn't supply capped, but he is about to be. These extra depots should go down. I don't think Ryung should leave this main base until he brings those depots away. Oh no, those tanks are very exposed on their own. I think that's what Ryung is beginning to realize here. Recognizing that those tanks are exposed, might want to try and do something about keeping them alive. Brings his Marines back to the low ground. Medevac ahead of the rest of the army. Nice scan. He's maybe going to get a tank kill here. It's going to be close. You think he'll get the shot off? No, he doesn't. Ryung loses a tank. Forte supply block. Ryung is not supply blocked. Ryung, it's tough for him because he has to make the right decisions. SCV is currently fighting SCV. Civil war down to the bottom left base, as he just wants to shut down as much eco as possible. I mean, Forte is still mining. Ryung building a CC top right, does have production, isn't building though. I mean, still triple orbital, so Cloak Banshee wouldn't do much in this sort of situation. These SCVs, man, they are still continuing to fight over here. Forte does not care. He just lets his SCVs run around against it. He's going to drop over from this position. He gets a couple of shots onto the tanks. Ryung will try and fight it. 2 tanks go down, but he loses a tank of his own, and his army is just disappearing. 14 army supply against the 39. Absolutely insane, as you're going to see another scan dropping. I'm just going to be seeing the... tanks of Forte still just sat down to the low ground. SCV is still being surrounded over in this position. They are going to go down. They're not going to kill that orbital, believe it or not. These SCVs are fighting each other as well. There's repairs going down too. I mean, what is even happening in this bottom left corner of the map? As Forte, I think, has drawn this out. I think he's going to win it. He is still producing. Again, Ryung was very slow to start producing, despite having mining up to this top side, despite having his command center, his racks over here. He'll start to mine once again, but Forte, does he just already have too much? I really think he might. 1.5k, 750 in the bank means he can build tanks and all sorts. If he has the structures, he doesn't have a factory yet, but he could rebuild it. Even just building 6 Marines at a time right now is pretty nice. As Ryung builds double starport? Is he going to hope for the Cloak Banshee? Is that what he's going to aim for? I really don't know. I really don't know, as we see in Ryung will just GG out. Apparently he just doesn't feel as though he can fight it, which I think is probably the correct decision. Forte against Soul Game 2 of this best of 7. I think if you press the... let me turn on some continuous music. We were missing on the last game. I think if you refresh, then you get to send a message with your new sub, and it'll say $10 instead of the just subscribe thing. But you did upgrade to the $10. Hey, Doddles! Woo! He's joining the expensive crew. Thank you so much, dude. So much support, so much love for someone who's sorry. So much love and so much support for someone who's been a fairly new kind of viewer on the stream. Like, it's actually kind of crazy. I just checked. I just looked you up on the bot. You first watched the stream on the 21st of April, which is like barely even 2 weeks ago. And you've been cheering, you've been double subbing, and so much more. Crazy. Thank you so much. Can I get some love in the chat, please, for Doddles? Some hearts, some loves. Can't afford donation trolling if you subbed. It's okay, Rootfly. I know sometimes you prefer the donation troll. It's okay. Yeah, you guys support however you want to support, you know? Support how you want to support. I think that's what's important, you know? If you guys want to support through subscribing more, if you want to support through donations, it's all good. Like, that's why I always say, like, some people are always like, Wardy, would you prefer it if we subscribed or we just donated the $5? I'm like, well, you do what's best for you, but probably subscribe, because I think it's nice if you subscribe. Top right hand side, our blue Terran player is Forte. And bottom left, our red Terran player is Soul. You're my favorite. I'm your favorite caster for your favorite game. Well, dude, thank you very much. It means a lot. Thanks for the kind words. Sorry, guys. I know we sort of maybe took a bit too long of a break before jumping into this game. However, we've been live for like an hour and we've barely cast one game. We've cast one map. God damn it. We've got to speed this up a little bit. I'm sorry, guys. I'll take less time to talk and maybe talk during the start of the games rather than in between. It's very easy to do with replayers. Just sort of keep talking instead of starting it. Whereas with live games, you know, you've got to jump in when the players are ready more so than when it is convenient for yourself, so. But, yeah. Donation is more direct income for the caster, but Twitch has benefits for the highest sub counts. Yeah, I mean, basically, like, higher sub counts is, like, basically emotes. Also, some people get better partnerships when you get a much higher sub count, but we already have a good partnership, so. But it's like mostly just emote slots, and I think in general as well, obviously subscribing is a very consistent way of kind of, you know, when you're a streamer, like if I know I've got this amount of subs, I'm pretty sure that unless I go and piss everyone off and like really make a tit out of myself, that I'm more or less going to have that number of subs next month as well. So it's a very constant income, whereas donations and all the rest of it can be very kind of up and down. So from a streamer's point of view, subs are nice because they're very consistent. And you just know that you're more or less going to get this much money each month from subscribing, whereas the donation's going to be a bit more here and there. But I think in general, like, I would say, like, if you're only going to give, like, $5 or so to a stream, which is, of course, perfectly fine. I think it's fantastic that you're going to consider giving $5 to any stream in the first place and supporting streamers. But if you're just going to do $5, I think subscribing is best because you benefit from it. The streamer benefits with the sub count. It's someone else who can use the emotes, which spread words. Generally, some streamers have other benefits for their subs as well. So yeah, you know, there's like, I'd say generally, if you're going to give someone $5 a month, you should subscribe. Past that, I mean, again, it's up to you guys. But I think generally, if someone's going to either sub or donate, I would generally say you should subscribe because I think you just get more out of it. Anyways, sorry, I'm just sort of answering questions and discussing stuff with the chat. How are we all doing today? This opening from both players is a little bit of a difference. Thought they're going to go for the faster expansion here, which is fairly safe and easy to do on Proxima Station. The opening from Soul is just going to be a bit more harassment heavy. Later expansion, with a Cloak Banshee initially going into a Raven as a follow-up as well. So, I'm just going to be seeing this Banshee coming over to the right-hand side, getting set up and ready to go. I should start my own tournament one day a week. Well, we have the WardiTV weekly number 9 on Thursday. It's very early though, because we focus it towards like Korean/EU, so it's actually going to start like midday my time, so like 1 PM European time, so like 5 hours earlier than what we started at today. But you can always chat to the VODs, of course, if it's not perfect for you. But we do the WardiTV weekly pretty much every week. Sub-tournament's coming up soon. I was going to maybe run the sub-tournament tomorrow, but obviously it's not very much warning. So maybe the sub-tournament next week at some point. Maybe next week on Tuesday or Wednesday. I haven't quite decided yet, but we do generally try and run one every month, so that's going to be coming up shortly. Just get back on track with sort of organising things. So this Raven helping to get rid of the Banshee, which is nice. And now the Raven of Soul trying to get into position as well to try and just do a little bit more damage. So Raven will come on through and just drop down an auto turret or so. And we do see the auto turret coming on down. And just getting set up and ready to rumble. Another Raven on the way from both sides of the map. As we do see, in general, Forte, well, he had a faster CC. His third CC's faster. He's a few workers down now. It's probably going to even out for the most part, I think. It's pretty much going to even out for the most part, I would say. Can't watch at that time. Well, I have been considering doing more kind of rebroadcasty stuff, like say we run the WardiTV weekly Thursday, then like through the day, then actually rebroadcasting it in the evening. But I don't know how many people would actually be interested in that. It's definitely something we can do. I mean, there's no real negatives to me, minus the fact I can't really use my computer during the time. But it's definitely something we can look into and do a little bit more of. So if you guys are interested in more rebroadcasts and just keeping the stream, I mean, again, it's like the sort of trade-off though. Like rebroadcasting is good, but then sometimes people don't realize when you're actually live, and then people ask, "Is this live all the time?" We can rebroadcast more. I mean, the other option is you can also again watch the VODs, right? So if you're watching the VODs, then I mean, it sort of depends. Anyways, we're going to see the couple of auto turrets coming in from this Raven, doing a little bit of damage. Another few Marines going to get taken on down. And Forte, with this Raven up top, still just flying around to look to see what else is going down as well. Looks as though he's still just looking for an opportunity, a chance here to throw down another couple of auto turrets. Again, just harassing, trying to pick up some early worker kills just to bring himself back into the game a little bit, because of the lack of workers he's had here over the last few months. I actually didn't realize Soul was so fast in the third CC. I was talking about Forte's third command center being very quick and a good way for him to kind of pull back into this game. But actually, Soul's own third CC was pretty quick as well. Oh, nice. He's going to kill a Raven with the auto turrets. That's a pretty big deal, actually. Picks up a few SCVs as well. So this is a really nice Raven. I mean, that's what? A Raven kill plus 4 SCVs? That's really awesome. He's got 5 kills on this Raven in the main base. He'll come in and drop another turret. Has to be careful, though. These Vikings are here. He'll probably use the turret now to just try and block the Vikings from chasing him as quickly. Raven will start to get away over to the right-hand side. Oh, this Raven's going to fly through a missile turret, which isn't ideal. Man, I hate Ravens and missile turrets because I'm like, auto turret, missile turret, this turret, that turret, other turret. It feels like there's so many turrets in the in the early stages of the TVT, man. It's happening a lot yesterday as well. Like, I was trying to re-security playing against Reno. Incredible series, by the way. A best of 5 that lasted 3 entire hours. And we, there was so many Ravens in the game, and I was just like, Seeker missile, auto turret, there's a missile turret here too, what's going on? More Seeker missile. I was like, oh my god, I can't even remember what everything is called anymore. Can't even remember what it's called anymore. Just you see these couple Vikings moving out, Marines, a siege tank, a Cyclone as well. Well, we're going to come on down to the low ground. 40 will relocate his third CC to that low ground as well. In general, though, man, Soul really has been taking advantage. Oh, he's got a quad CC? What? What? What did we... What? Okay, I mean, I didn't realize this at all. I mean, that's not something you're usually expecting to see, right? So something that's caught me completely off guard. This Raven, by the way, great damage. 12 kills on it. Yeah, he has a CC float over the left side. Like, I don't know, did he just not realize he'd already built a third, so he built another base? I mean, that's the most realistic conclusion here as well. I mean, Soul's just going to put it into a bit more of a standard position and kill that CC. So now we don't have to worry about it. Now it is free CC against free CC. But 20 workers down again. Soul has just been on this triple base and saturated free bases for a long time now. His upgrades are ahead. He's able to start 2-2 shortly, hopefully. His armory... Oh, completely missing the armory. Oh, wow. So that's going to be delaying his 2-2. But same on the other side of the map. Armory is not down just yet from Forte. And it doesn't look as though he's going to realize that just yet either. As we're going to be seeing the Marines all kind of gathering up together. So that she has quite a lot. Problem is, though, having a lead in Proxima Station at this sort of stage of the game can be a little bit frustrating in TVT, because how do you really push in and end the game? Well, you kind of just don't. You just have to take a lead by being very passive and patient and playing to deny a 4th base. Which seems kind of dumb, and a lot of the time when, you know, 30 supply ahead in the game in a mirror matchup, you're probably looking at the kind of, you know, at the kind of point of view which is, aha, I've won, you know, like, let's go. But on Proxima, you really do have to play the slower game. And I mean, that's very kind of true in TVT in a lot of matchups, Proxima especially. I mean, you can try and drop around, which is what 4D probably realizes, setting up this sensor tower now. And we will see a little bit of a drop from Soul into this main base too. So, I mean, he's going to drop around bits and pieces, but in general, he can't just attack through the front and just win. So instead, he'll set up a little bit of a soft container. One, just be careful he doesn't die to any drops of his opponent as well, of course. You're going to see the siege tank, man, is getting very low. I'm surprised he didn't just continue to fight that there. Drop back on top or just chase it down. He probably could have picked up the kill. Then again, a very soft contain from Soul, and when I say soft contain, I just mean he's not kind of firing onto the base of his opponent. He's just sat outside the base and not going to allow kind of Forte to kind of get any further. This sensor tower is annoying, by the way. If you could get rid of that, it would be fantastic. Auto turret comes in. You see the Vikings starting to fire away as well. There's Raven, who's going to take a couple of shots alone deep over here as the tanks will siege up. I actually like this siege up because with a scan, he'll get rid of the sensor tower, and that's just going to get rid of some vision of Forte. Looks as though he doesn't have the scan done. We'll just unsiege and pull back again. So just applying pressure from the outskirts of the base. As we see these few Marines of Forte just pulling back through the center of the map again. Marines just going to be running through, so we'll just clean up. Forte was trying to take some map control, but is unsuccessful for the most part. And again, Soul just, again, taking a little bit of damage here and there, but now 50 supply up. He's just going to continue building. His fourth base floats into position. He'll take the gold because he knows he can afford to take the gold base. And, you know, even if eventually he gets pushed away from this, he's got so much time right now where he will be able to mine from the gold because he knows for a fact there's nothing Forte can do in the upcoming minutes of the game while he has such a lead. So we'll sim on in. We talked about being safe against the drops, and this is exactly that. Units nearby, able to come in after losing just a couple of workers, and, you know, when you lose 5 or 6 workers to kill 2 medevacs and 60 Marines, it's very much so justifiable. So again, Soul coming out of this one in a little bit of a lead, I would say. I was just going to be seeing these Marines and tanks just sat out in the center of the map as well. This Raven will try and come on in again, but he'll just get shot down pretty quickly. So Raven getting blown out of the sky here. And 2-2 upgrades continuing to come on through for Soul and for Forte. Another scan dropping down. It's going to be positioned to kind of have a look at a few of those tanks. And to the right-hand side, we're going to see another Marine getting cleaned up as well. So again, more Marines from Soul pushing over to the right-hand side. And again, another scan coming down on top of this army, keeping track of what is happening at this point. You'll see some tanks pushing forwards. Tanks sieging up as well. And still just the Vikings, the Liberators, looking to see what they can get up to. And there's going to be seeing the Marines and tanks going to push on in here. And just going to start working their way through those rocks. So Rock's going to take some damage. And as the rocks take some damage, then the units will back away a little bit as well. I'm just going to be seeing still the a little bit more damage being done here. So just patrolling around with these units, seeing what they can get up to. 3 free upgrades now on the way in from Soul as well. +2/+2 coming in for Forte. Setting those +2/+2 upgrades up also. And still kind of a lot from Soul. This is a sort of opportunity, by the way. You know, he's been waiting for a chance to fight. As Soul move, you know, as Forte moves out in towards external bases, this is exactly that kind of opportunity. However, tank siege was good, and so Forte will look to take this gold base in the near future. He's now going to stim after some of the tanks of Soul. He will siege up a little bit haphazardly here. A couple tanks siege, and he will get some shots. And he does actually land quite nicely into the center of those Marines. Upgrades will even up for a little while here. I love this by Soul. Just going to rotate back around and say, well, if you want to take that 4th base, I'm going to try and push you in the 3rd base. And then, you know, when he realizes his opponent's in position here, maybe he can swoop in from the left and hit that 4th yet again. So, Soul, very minimal amount of movements he can really make and do here on Proxima Station, but he is making the most of what he can get going for himself. As we have just got the scan coming down once again. Marines and tanks from Forte just at the front, and we're going to see one Marine getting picked off right away. Tanks sieging here completely. Still Vikings and a Raven up in the sky. And these Marines just going to unload once more and just start working their way through. Some Marines from Forte Forte actually going to clean that up, so that wasn't too deadly a job. I was going to see, oh, that's a big play. A Liberator and a Raven going down. I mean, those are 2 expensive units up in the sky, and both will be useful in terms of holding this sort of situation up. As just going to be seeing the Army of Soul going to rotate around again. Vikings. Well, here we go. Soul's just going to go for the big fight. 2 tanks get taken down almost instantly. Soul's tanks are not part of this engagement any longer, though. He pulls too far forwards or chases too far forwards. Now his Vikings going to come into play as well. They trade up in the skies. The upgrades non-existent on either set of Vikings. As we'll see, kind of Soul just wants to try and turn the Viking trade into his own favor, but doesn't happen. Just loses some Marines instead. Fifth base will set up for him here very shortly, floating on over. I love the fact that every base he makes here is just going to be a planetary fortress, because we talked about on Cactus, and it's just something you don't want to have happen to you, which is the kind of frustration of having to kind of defend those bases all the time, because they can't stand up for themselves. So that's nice to be able to kind of invest into the planetary fortresses in those sort of positions. There's another scan on either side. The Liberators will siege up, though, with the air control in favor of Forte. It's a very solid way to push back some of these siege tank lines. He will get 2 tank kills for this. Now the Marines stepping forward, looking for another. Marines respond, though, and they respond well from Soul to push Forte back yet again. And while it is Soul who's maybe being pushed out of position at the moment, he is still up heavily in supply. Free upgrades still on his side for the next few moments. I wouldn't actually want to take a fight right now as Forte, here we go. He's going to get himself sort of sandwiched here, but obviously Soul was not really ready to fight. His tank's not sieged, but now he can just stim up in towards the third base even. He's going to bring his tanks up here. He'll be able to start sieging. It's going to be Forte who has to run up this position with a lack of upgrades for just a couple more seconds, but it still will be a part of this fight. And all of a sudden, Forte's army is disappearing. The tanks are going to be engageable by the Marines. A couple of them will fall. Now a third one as well, and the Marines, they will get cleaned up. But now coming from the other side as well, Soul, he's got way too much. The tanks fall. That will be that. And that will be the fourth base. Maybe not instantly going down here, but it's going to be under some heavy pressure. Liberator sieges up overhead. That will get shot down before he gets a single shot off. The planetary fortress will hold its own, but obviously he just can't hold the third base now. 40 are going to try and just boost on backwards. A tank lifts, repositions, and Soul looking to bring True Esports back into this series, which would be huge for them, of course. The last thing True Esports want to do is lose yet another series in this season of the Team League. Sponsors of the Team League Season 7, by the way, True Esports. Do check them out and thank them for their support. There's a couple of Vikings leading the charge here. Forte looking to see what he can do. Marines will stim on in. This planetary fortress is going to get taken down. SCV is getting chased away to the side as well. Vikings still up in the sky. This time Soul will win the Viking fight. He took a lead early, and he's played this lead out so wonderfully. Soul, he didn't make any mistakes. He didn't rush in to try and take advantage of his lead super early. He didn't get over-eager. And now it's all paying off for him as he sits down out the front of this base and just getting ready to go once again. Marines is going to be stimming in once again here, and it is just going to be potentially the game end. A nice drop on top of the tanks in the back. Unfortunately for Forte, it's way too little, way too late. These Marines have chased down those SCVs in the meantime as well. But the real story is over here because Soul is in the natural. He's killed everything, and that is going to be GG. Soul taking advantage of a strong early game, taking advantage of Forte's mistakes, and putting himself here in game 3 of this best of 7 all kill. Our first best of 7 of the night. I don't know whether we're going to do 2 or 3 series tonight. We'll just sort of see how it goes. I want to stream for about 5 hours. So we'll just sort of see how it goes and see how the games roll and just sort of see what sort of mood we're in after a couple of series as to whether we do a third one or not. We'll just see what's up and what's happening, of course. So see how this turns out, and just going to be seeing the hatchery coming on down to the lower ground for Armani. And we'll see the barracks coming up here and the main base as well. Okay, so Rack's coming up in the main, and just going to be seeing the hatchery in the spawning pool continue to come on down from Armani. Just setting it up and looking to see what else might happen. Nothing really too crazy so far, honestly, though. I mean, just waiting to kind of see what the initial build orders are going to be. It's Newkirk Precinct. I mean, I'm really excited for the upcoming days where we do get the new maps, by the way, in the map pool, because it's going to be so awesome and so nice to be able to just talk about maps again. We're at this point now where obviously we've talked about Newkirk Precinct like 1,000 times. It's like, well, you guys know what Newkirk Precinct is. You don't need me to tell you what Newkirk Precinct is, do you? You don't need that at all. So, you know, you guys hopefully are excited for the new maps as well. I'm excited to play new maps. The thing that I don't like about this season is the fact that so many of the maps are from old map pools in the past as well. So while we got like a fresh map pool, I say in quotation marks, it's like not really at all, because we've actually just been playing maps from years ago, which is kind of dumb. Like, we got to play Proxima, which is cool, but it's like such a generic, boring macro map. Yeah, I mean, it used to be such a generic, boring macro map. Then there was And there's other maps. Then there was, what else was the Paladino Terminal, which is just dumb to play on, so we didn't even really feel like we got new maps this season. Because then you play Cactus, Newkirk, Belshire. We've seen those so much in the past as well. And then what's the last map I'm forgetting? There's 2 maps I'm forgetting. Abyssal Reef was nice to play on, I guess. And I think I'm forgetting one. But you know what I mean, it's just going to be nice to actually have fresh maps, different maps. Not just the same old, kind of boring bits and pieces that we've seen time and time and time again already. We're gonna pop up here, pop back down, just having a little bit of a look to see what's going on. Still nothing too crazy, although 12 more Zerglings does suggest some aggression here. Now, generally, Ling Floods are very effective against, say, 2-1-1 openers. Against a factory opener with Hellion production, it's not going to be as great unless you're able to catch the first 2 Hellions. Then maybe you can capitalize on the situation. So we'll see what he's able to do as these 2 Hellions moving across. Sees the 3rd hatch coming down. These Lings still just gathering together on Armani, getting ready to go out. By the way, this is the 2nd Korean player on the isIMBA roster. So we'll see if he's going to be able to do as much or more than 4-day. Reaper is going to catch, oh, not quite get caught there. It will go down, but nice grenade to try and help these Hellions out. 2 more Hellions coming in. That's the sort of point 4 Hellions. Oh, he missed micros them. That's a little bit of a shame, taking a bit more damage on the initial Hellion than he maybe should have done. Nice micro, though. Continue to pull the damaged Hellion back, and he loses 1, but he does clean up a good amount of Zerglings so far. A very good amount of Zerglings so far, actually. And we've seen the Lings pulling back over to the right-hand side here. A couple of Hellions still help them just hold the position, pushing those Lings away. Another Hellion or 2 popping out. Starport goes on to the tech lab, and obviously the next stage of this from Soul is going to be a Raven. Now that's something we've been seeing more and more of as of late. This Viking is just going to get rid of the Overlord nice and quickly there. So we see the Viking picking up the kill, and the Overlord going down, a little bit of a supply block. As again, Raven play, I mean, it's something we really have seen come into the metagame so much recently. In TVT, in TVZ, and everywhere else. These build orders which just introduce the Raven that can get so much done. It's very interesting, it's very exciting. As we have the Hellions pulling back over to the right-hand side. And we'll see what they want to get up to in the near future as well. Pushing forwards, we'll just run by onto the creep spread. And we'll catch themselves a couple of drones nice and quickly as well. Some more drones here, going to start taking a roasting perhaps. Oh man, it's already turned into a little bit of a massacre. Lings come in, they catch those Hellions. And that is goodbye to all of those. That is quite the catch. I mean, to be fair though, he killed a decent amount of workers. 36 drones, workers apiece on the map now. I'd be actually pretty happy for this for Soul. I mean, yes, he loses map control, but does he need it? Well, he'd be in a lot of trouble if there was a counter Bane bus coming through right now. Oh, please move to the depot. He does raise the depot. Yeah, I was going to say, like, he might be in a lot of trouble if there was a, might be kind of a little bit of trouble if there was, a Bane bus coming in, but there isn't, so he's kind of okay. Raven picks up 3 drone kills as well, so good damage on either side, and well, melee upgrades coming on through. Still very late on his upgrades. Engineering base just now dropping into play with his 3rd CC about to finish up. Starport will move away from the tech lab as the 2nd Raven pops out, and will take a position up to the top side of the map. And just as we wait for things to continue, I'd like to give a couple of shout-outs, both to Zelane89. First of all, for the Twitch Prime sub. Got some SI hearts in the chat. Thank you very much for subscribing with your Twitch Prime. Do appreciate that, dude. And the Cheer57 as well, saying all I can do since grinding bits is now capped. That's kind of a shame, but it's okay, man. Thank you very much for the bits. Do appreciate you spending those on me. You know the way to a man's heart, to a wardy's heart at least. And apparently your sub was special enough to be said twice in the chat. Literally amazing. Can we see some love, some hearts, some whatever you want to throw in the chat? Some hypes. You can throw whatever. It's so amazing. You have so many emotes to choose from now. Go with your feelings. Go pick what you want to pick. Your emotes are so customizable. Your responses are so customizable. Anyway, sorry. Ravens continue to do damage here as we see on the screen. And just, again, just slowing down the work count from Armani. I say slowing down. He's on 67, though, nonetheless. And he's continuing to be in a good spot here. As this Viking somehow has yet to pick up a kill. Pushing through, going to see those Vikings will turn and will get the Viking kill. I mean, I just don't understand how he didn't have a kill. He's fighting so many overlords on his way over here. It really is kind of crazy. As we're going to see the CC will just drop on down to the low ground. 3rd base about to be established. Meanwhile, Spire comes up from Armani as well. You're going to see these Lings going to wrap around. You're going to pick off this missile turret. So, sorry, an order turret. It would be a little bit broken if there was a missile turret in the back of the mineral line here. I'm just going to see that auto turret over here getting cleaned out also. Marines, medevacs from Sol. Going to get lifted up into the medevacs and just going to start pushing across over to the right-hand side. Queen's again going to push that Raven away. So Raven getting pushed up the right, and again Sol coming across to see what's going to happen. See what's going to be getting done right now. Answer is not really too much going to be happening. Armory coming in from Sol as well, just wants to get those 2-2 upgrades. A little bit late on the Armory. Second game in a row where he's been missing that out, so that's a little bit of a shame as again depots continue to drop down here, get into position to create a little bit of a wall. Nice Marine play over here, targeting down the Banes, all but one! And that one Bane does only kill a couple of Marines, so it's not the end of the world. But it's nice target firing to get so many of them originally in the first place, so good job by Sol. Making the most out of his units. I mean, that's exactly how you have to play as a Terran player. Making the most of your units and all the rest of this you're going to be seeing. Marine's going to lift up once again and just going to keep on boosting around. But the meters are about to hit the map, which is really going to slow down this drop play. And really going to cause Sol to reconsider how he continues in the game. Because you do not really want to be continuing with drop play. I just don't think you want to be continuing with drop play, honestly. I think once meters are out, you can still drop, but you can't just only be dropping like he's been doing so far. Nice auto turret, by the way. Comes down just before the Raven dies and grabs the last couple of kills of the game for that Raven. Still causing trouble even post-mortem. As we're going to be seeing the Marines scanning with this drop, and just going to be seeing the Wings and Banes continue to move on around and do a little bit more. Marines stay on in over here, and just going to continue to work their way through this hatchery. It is going to get picked off in a couple of moments. Uh-oh, friendly fire onto the Marines. Well, the hatchery goes down. Meters are going to chase, man. He's, oh, he actually retargets the Widow Mine. Oh, he could have retargeted onto the Banelings. That would have been absolutely huge, of course. And getting rid of the fourth base is nice. If you kick down a whole chunk of Banes with that Widow Mine, and that could have really slowed Armani down into the future. These medevacs, unfortunately, have maybe stuck around a bit too long. Looks as though they might still just get away with that boost, but the meters are going to be hot on their tail, and only 3 Marines inside means that the medevacs don't really have a way to keep themselves alive or be a threat to anything. And over to the south side as well, not going to do too much more. One medevac falls, the other will be allowed to escape. Pulling away to the left-hand side still. These Widow Mines going to relocate themselves, and just going to keep on trying to pick up some more workers. This one going to stay in position up here just to try and catch off more units, perhaps. Always unfortunate when you go off on a on an egg. Not the ideal use of a Widow Mine. As the Overseer here, and does he see the other mine? I think he knows it's there. Maybe he doesn't. Just goes for the cooling tower. But he should see it in a moment or so. There's a lot of Lings going to sit up to the top side, just to the north, ready to hit a bit of a run-by, perhaps. I mean, Sol will see this with the medevac as it flies up north. So he sees those Lings in position. How will he respond to those? Will he kind of come on in? Will he go and fight them? What is his choice? I mean, what is his option? I guess it's... I mean, he does have a choice. He can either fight them or he cannot fight them. Looks as though he's just going to go across, and he is just going to maybe not really kind of give this kind of run by the attention it deserves, because he's even going to leave his depot down. And considering he saw this with the drop, this really is a big mistake from Sol. Lings actually don't commit into the natural. They come down to the low ground still. This 4 going to try and micro back, but does die as well. An expensive unit to lose to a Ling run by, because you want that 4 to help against the mutants to mess up Ling Bane kind of AI during the larger fights. So that's a little bit of a shame. Sol being pulled back and not really gaining anything because of it, just losing some workers, and definitely wasn't the best sort of situation for him, as you still just see the Banes morph into the upper left corner. We're going to be seeing the mutas and overseers. Going to fly on down the right hand side as well. Another scan coming into play, and just going to be cleaning up again a couple more of these creep tumors. So a couple more creep tumors getting cleaned out, and still just kind of pushing on forwards. And again, looking to see what else might happen. Lings and Banes going to rush on in, and we're going to see some decent connections coming in here towards the end. And as we do have the, again, mutas up in the sky. A lot more Banes still morphing too. A couple of Banes over here from Armani. Still just burrowed under the ground, and looking to see what they might want to try and get up to now. Muta's going to come up to the top side of the map. A hive is still coming in towards the main base too, and just going to see these marauders still rushing on forwards here and splitting up a little bit further. Actually going to be segregated now as the cooling tower drops, but he can rotate around and still sort of, I guess he can just take down the rocks. So with a very aggressive push, and well, it's the mutas that are going to counterattack that might cause the biggest of issues for him. He has no real anti-air back at home just yet, so he has to really make sure he does some of this push, because he's going to be losing his 4th CC, which means he isn't going to be getting an extra base anytime shortly, but he is going to deny this base. Lings and Banes are going to be a little bit late to run in here against this. Widow Mines are not going to burrow in time to get connections. Marauders do tank a lot of the damage, but they were pretty clumped too, so it doesn't take too many Banes to clean out the majority of those. And still just Marine Marauder sat down to the south side. Mutas being chased a bit by a few of these Marines. We're going to see the Hivers continue to come on in as well, and still just pushing up through the right-hand side. You're going to see another couple of Widow Mines burrowing, going to start blowing up on top of these Banes and all sorts. Well, I think Armani's taking a good fight here. If the Muta is starting to harass in the main base, he's shutting down production by killing reactors and more. And it is a full-on retreat from Soul in the center of the map to pull back towards his third base and more. So Soul going to pull back towards the third base. Marines still chasing Mutas around all over the shop. Muta's going to come back in towards this third CC down here. Going to see another few Marauders taking some damage as well. Windowmine will grab one Muta on its way out, but still, I mean, the damage they've done is insane. Taking Soul's worker count all the way down to 37. I mean, Soul still has a decent army supply lead. He's still got 92 to the 80 or so, but these Mutas are causing him such issues. And with the Hive now up, Adrenal Gland comes in. The Ling Bane's only going to get more effective from here on out as another Scan trying to fight this. He doesn't have enough. He's going to just lift up once again. It's his only real option, but the Marines get left behind. He just saves them. But now he's got reinforcements in the back, which are forced to fight because of the Mutalisks, which are going to come straight on through, start to target down Medivacs. And not a good fight once again from Soul, as we see Armani just getting into a more and more comfortable position. There's going to be seeing another Widow Mine just burrowing here, and again, another Scan. More Cryptium is being cleaned out. Mio's still looking around, seeing what's going to happen, and another Bane shot. Widow Mine shot will clean up some Banes, another one too, but it's not going to be the connections I think Soul needs. Somehow his army supply is still ahead here, but the Mutas are going to chase down the Medivacs. So many of them low health. That's going to be a huge amount of required supply just disappearing. He chases the Marines as well, and this is becoming more and more one-sided as Armani has way too much. Soul types out GG. He doesn't have an eco to keep rebuilding behind that. And that's going to be Armani take. So I'm like, it's an AKG something or other. Sorry, I can't be more useful. Guys, let's jump into game 4 of this series. To the bottom right-hand side of the map, our blue Zerg player is going to be isIMBA's Armani. And to the top left-hand side from True Esports, it is our red Zerg player, Reno. AKG makes solid audio game. Yeah, the headset's awesome. I love it. It's super, super good once I figured out how to set it all up and stuff. For me, it was kind of crazy because I've never had like a proper soundboard before, but now I've got like a proper audio mixer. It took me a while to figure it all out and to get everything fixed. So yeah. All right. Alright, so, sorry, let's get into this and look to see what is going to happen. In the ZVZ, look at this, a fast Evo chamber from Reno. Sorry, I was just replying quickly to someone while we got into these early stages. A fast Evo chamber from Reno is going to be kind of intriguing here to see what happens. Swan Pool coming up, and just going to be seeing a hatcher on either side. So, I mean, yeah, what's Reno going to do with the Evo? He's going to go for some fast drops? He's just going to go super fast Carapace or melee? He's going to go super fast melee upgrade. Pretty crazy. You can see Overlord moving on around. Thank you very much in the chat. Robert Fari coming in with the Twitch Prime sub for 5 months in a row. Yes, some STI hearts and STI love on that one. Thank you very much, dude. Says keep on, keeping on. Well, thank you very much. Always appreciate the resubs. Always appreciate the kind words along with them. Thank you, dude. Thank you, thank you. Feeling is going to start moving out onto the map and having a little bit of a look to see what they can get up to. It's just going to be seeing what happens here. Moving across, and you see the Lings trying to get at this ramp. Queen and a few Lings on the high ground, going to be sat there, able to push this away. And we do see the third hatchery of Armani just in position over to the right side as well. So third hatch over to the right. I'm going to be seeing the, again, +1 melee is just coming up to being about halfway done right now. It's +1 melee about halfway done, and it's like obviously going to be a kind of a very all-in sort of attack from Raynor. Well, I mean, I say very all-in. He's going to start a third hatchery, etc., but he isn't going to be droning much, because what's the point of investing in +1 melee? To then keep droning and then not to have any Zerglings to fight with, you know? So it feels as though like Raynor should just be heading in towards a lot of Lings, which he is starting to do. Armani doing the same because he kind of wants to keep his third hatch alive here. Rotoron dropping down for him as well in the meantime. And he gets the scout of the main. He's going to see that upgrade. So actually now Armani knows exactly what he's playing against. And as this Rotoron comes up, I imagine Armani will just start to make roaches and get himself an extra little something to help defend against this aggression of his opponent. Although right now Armani is supply blocked, and that could be a little bit dangerous for him. Actually, Armani, the left-hand side, has already got a lot of Lings. He's catching a few of the slowlings of his opponent off guard right there. Runs on in. He's going to take this fight momentarily. Gets a better surround initially. Doesn't matter about the upgrade. If you've got that surround, he will lose the fight eventually, though, as the upgrade kicks in. And Raynor will turn this away. So Raynor turning this attack back, turning it down the left-hand side. And I'm just going to be seeing the few extra roaches, few extra Zerglings on the way up for Armani right here. So a few more of these units coming on out. Roach is just going to gather towards the front. And the Zergling is going to keep on running on in as, again, Lings will be blocked from running up this ramp. We're just going to be seeing the, well, Army just looping around the side. So Army loops around the side, still seeing what he can get up to as we see more Lings coming through the center. Queen to the far left is now going to start poking away at that Overlord as well. And more of these Zerglings from Raynor just looking to see what's going to happen, what's going to go down. We're going to see Roaches coming in from the back. We're going to see Lings all over the place. Raynor trying to get us around. Does he have enough to make this work? So far, these Roaches and Lings are trading pretty well, and Raynor's going to get pushed away. Raynor, interestingly enough, though, is taking a worker lead in the game, and, well, maybe he's going to be in trouble from droning, because actually, despite the +1 melee, it's Armani who's the player who's making units, who's going to push across, and, well, you know, +1 is all well and good. If it's, you know, if you've got units, but does it help you when you're half the army supply of your opponent? Perhaps not. Just Armani just making units and attacking. Here we go. He's got a Bane there, so Bane's starting to morph in too. Well, that's one very solid way to get rid of a +1 melee advantage if you just blow the Lings up before they can even attack anything. So that could be problematic. Lings and Roaches gathering together towards the left-hand side here, looking to see what they can get up to. And we're going to be seeing, again, a couple more Banes setting up. Armani getting ready to go. The Banes will lead the charge up this ramp. And I mean, what do you do as Raynor right now? Queens are going to be out of position. The Spinecrawler is going to go down. The Lings are all to the south, but the Banes, they only have one direction to go in, and they're going to go towards those Lings. The Queens are trying to target them down, but the Banes, if nothing else, are just going to keep the Lings away for so long. And there's still enough of them left over to keep on zoning right here. That Spinecrawler somehow survived, but now the mineral line is completely exposed, and Armani still is not going to let Raynor back into his natural. Raynor will be forced to maybe counterattack. But I mean, is it really going to work out? I'm not too sure. As we see the Lings, the Roach is going to keep on fighting here. They are going to be able to get rid of these drones. Drones being chased away down to the low ground. A few Banes, though, are going to come on in, and goodbye, mineral line. Goodbye indeed. Across the map, the counterattack from Raynor is doing something, but nowhere near enough, nowhere near fast enough. Banes are about to finish as I choke myself somehow. And, well, the Banes are just going to start doing enough damage to pretty much clean this up. Reinforcements should be able to deal with the rest of it. I mean, if not, he's got units across the map he can eventually pull back home as well, as there is not too much else to be killed. I mean, even drones just fighting here is going to be more than enough. +1 melee or not, GG has to be called. And that is going to be Armani taking game number 4 and day. If Armani is able to clean things out and to kind of finish this off. So let's see how this goes. As we do have to the top left-hand side of the map, a blue Zerg player from isIMBA. Give it up if you're cheering on Armani. Again, a huge series for isIMBA if they're to win this right now. It would be really huge because it keeps them in a really viable spot in terms of moving forwards in the playoffs. A really viable spot. Bottom right, from True Esports player that even I haven't heard of too much in the past, it is going to be Diord. To the bottom right-hand side, our pink Terran player. Zelane 89 with the cheer 40 after Duddle's cheer 3, saying the tickle of death. Dark Ones with another cheer 100 though, going to heal himself right back up. Man, this bit boss, I've been saying this a lot the last few days, but it's so true. We've seen so much activity on the cheers and the bits lately. Since we introduced the bit boss, it's insane. We've had so many cheers. Thank you guys. Do appreciate all of it. You're all very awesome people supporting the stream, because it does go a long way. Yeah, we've had a really shitty couple of months as well. I really am determined to make sure that May is like the month of awesomeness, where we just never stop. We just have StarCraft all the time, and all the rest of it as well. So, setting up into this and looking to see what's going to be happening as early game on Belshia Vestige. Nothing too ridiculous. Hatch Gas Pool is the opening from Armani. Probably the heavy favourite going into this game. But again, best of one situation right from the get-go means that, you know, you can be a little bit more kind of cautious about this. So, CC coming down, nothing really too crazy right from the get-go as we continue to set up into this. And again, by the way, I guess we haven't really answered this or told you guys this, but we have a kind of a choice for our next series which we cast as well. We have a bunch of series that have been played and are ready to be cast from replays. We're going to be covering them over the next few days. And I guess just as we have a slow start up here, I'll just explain what will happen over the next few days. Tomorrow, we're very likely to cast Team League again. Thursday, we'll have WardiTV weekly number 9. That'll be from 1 PM CET, so a little bit of a earlier start for us as we go towards a Korean-based tournament. Friday, we're going to be live all day, Saturday and Sunday as well, with the Take TV Penthouse tournament. That's going to be Penthouse Party number 2. It's going to be featuring players such as Gummyho, Bjol, Snoot, and so many more. So that's going to be happening as we see. Sorry, a few Lings over here. But Marines in position, they're going to be able to defend this very easily. I guess Dior just didn't make a Reaper or lost a Reaper. Didn't make a Reaper. So Ling is trying to be aggressive, but going to get pushed back rather easily from the reacted Marines. So on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, we cover the Take TV Penthouse Party. Then on Monday, we come back and we're going to be covering, I believe, Underdogs, the season 30 or something playoff. Oh, it's crazy. Underdogs so many seasons. I've forgotten what number it is, but that's going to be on Monday evening. Tuesday and Wednesday are then probably the next... No, sorry, Tuesday will be Go for SC2 monthly finals. Then Wednesday we'll probably run a sub-tournament or do more Team League. Like, that's the sort of plan. So we have a really busy plan for the next kind of days. One day the events tab will get updated. Dark Ones, it's so funny because today is the first day the event planner has not been up to date just because I haven't had a plan or have been sure of times until this morning. So it's going to be up to date later today, I promise, as we do see a little bit of a skirmish going on here. Marines and Hellenes fighting against these Zerglings, and I mean, it's a good attempt by Armani, but honestly, Dior with a very solid defense here is going to hold on very easily. So far, so good. Armory coming down as he heads in towards an armory-based, a Hellbat-based attack in the very near future. But yeah, it's funny because the events tab has been very up to date, but I just haven't had confirmation of times and players and stuff like that to update it. Until today, I found out about the Take TV Penthouse Party dates, so it will be up to date in the next kind of 24 hours or so, hopefully. That's one of the things I have to do. You know what? I'm going to write it down right now. Things we have to do in the next 24 hours. Replay pack. To subs. That's going to be going out tonight, hopefully. And also we're going to be doing the events update. Perfect. I think that's all we have to do. I actually also have to get some more YouTube stuff on the way. So we'll get that set up as well. Alright. Anyways, +1 Carapace comes on in here from Armani. I mean, this Hellbat attack's about to kick off. Armani just 16 Lings out and 5 Queens, but the Queens are in position immediately here. The Lings also all the way over to the main. Maybe not ready for this attack, so Hatchery taking some damage. He will pick off an Overlord perhaps as well. Queens have a Transfuse if he wants to keep it alive, but decides not to. Not good target firing so far. Armani not going after the Medevac. Instead just damaging these Hellbats, which, well, you know, they can be healed. Now he can also go for the Medevac, forcing him to pull back, forcing the lack of healing, and making it much easier to push his way through this. Hatchery takes a lot of damage, but will not die. Those transfuses available too, so it's a pretty comfortable hold for Armani. And this Hellbat attack really doesn't achieve much at all as another CC comes on into play. And look at that, vehicle weapons on the way up, which means we are going to be starting to see some mech play going into game number 5 of this best of 7 series. So game 5, mech is the option, or the choice, I suppose, of our Terran player. And we saw some mech against Zerg yesterday. between Beastie Cutie and Reno, which was rather interesting. So that was pretty fun. That was pretty entertaining and was exciting to see. So again, hoping for more of the same as we continue on. It's cool when you see mech because it's a bit different. It isn't what you see all the time, and it can be creating some very interesting and dynamic games. I mean, sometimes you see mech play, which is very boring and still, but sometimes it can be like some sort of different style of mech, which is aggressive and all over the place. We saw some of those games yesterday between Beastie and Reno, which was, again, very cool. You missed those. I do advise checking out the VOD. We're casting the O Gaming SC2 6-worker start tournament. It was a lot of fun indeed. I was going to see another attempt at just a Hellbat attack here, and well, what is there actually up here for? Absolutely nothing. Wow, Armani has nothing at all. Okay, well, the third hatchery might be in a little bit of trouble here. This queen going to go down. Banshee does not have cloak just yet. Is there a lair? Yes, there is. So you will be able to get Overseer in as he just chases down queens. Surprised he doesn't go for the kill on the third hatchery, because that would be huge. I mean, at the same time, he is killing off so many of these queens. I don't actually know what Armani does to hold this off at all. And we're seeing Lings moving forwards again. The drones going to be in a little bit of trouble perhaps. If you're going to see, oh, the Hellbat's picking up huge damage. Look at that! Insane! 18 kill Hellbat. Oh my god. 18 kill Hellbat. Oh, wow. And the other one had 9 kills. One has 7. 16 kills. Oh my god, Diord. What an amazing amount of damage. 53 workers to 28 kills. Sorry, 53 to 28 workers on the map. Diord up 27 army, 35 army supply to 14. Making 4s in preparation for the Mutalisks. Oh, wow. Our Zerg player Armani might be the favorite in this game, but he is going to be playing from a heavy, heavy deficit moving forwards 8 minutes in, and he is what I think a lot of people would just say, or would just call dead. A little bit of a nice run by. This is going to be some good damage to start pulling him back into this in the work account a little bit now. As you see these Hellions setting up and pushing the Lings away up the left-hand side. Now you do see the +1 missile attack upgrade from Armani coming in the back of this mineral line as well. Armani going to pull through and is going to throw down a inject onto the hatchery. And, well, I mean, he has redroned. He's up on 45 workers, but that doesn't change the fact there is a 48 to 22 army supply deficit. He's got the army where you can just move across the map and fight, right? I guess the Lings might be problematic if only... Well, he's got 8 Hellions, really. So that's kind of neat. That is kind of neat indeed. We're going to be seeing these Hellbats actually already across the map harassing again, but here come the Mutas. Honestly, if I saw Mutas and I've got 2 Vikings, multiple 4s, I'd just go across the map and kill the guy. Why wouldn't you? Right now? Yeah, I mean, just why would you not, I think. As we're going to be seeing the hatchery over here. Does survive yet another attack. The Mutas will come across and see what they can get up to, of course, in the next few moments. And as we're going to be seeing the Mutalisks just going to be flying on down towards the bottom left-hand side. So Mutas flying down towards the bottom left. Infestation Pit continue to come up in the main base as well. SCV here going to get picked off by those few Mutas. 4's coming in, but I mean, that's the thing. 4s are going to be good. The Vikings are going to be very good to push this back. You might not think Vikings are a great counter to the Mutas, but when you go Mutas against mech, a low number of Vikings can be very valuable to help just push them back. Well, you do usually have very limited, you know, sort of supplies in the anti-air in the early stages against those Mutas. Armani going to start up the Swarm Host, so he's going to go for another kind of way to kind of get back into this, but I still just feel as though we're waiting for the moment where Dior just pushes across the map and kills the guy. I really, really do. Hellbats, 4s, Vikings, going to be pushing up the right side of the map. We do see the Mutas going to fly on around here and look to see what they can get up to as they're going to fly towards the main base and try and pick off a couple of SCVs. But there's a turret up. I mean, it's still not that many Mutalisks, only 4 of them. Can't really fight against the turret at all, so... Vikings, Hellbats, 4... I mean, this just ends the game, right? Surely. 4's actually gonna... Well, the Swarm Host is actually gonna run into the 4s here. Locust will drop. What else is there? I actually don't like this. The Locust gonna kind of fight on their own. He's gonna kill a 4 right away. The Hellbat's not part of this. This is huge. 1, 2, 4 going down. I know it sounds like I can't count 1, 2, 4 instead of 1, 2, 3, but 2 4s drop, and all of a sudden We do just see Diod landing Vikings to try and fight this here. The 4's out of position, the tank out of position. This is not a good engagement at all. I mean, I'm talking about this sort of setup where we're kind of like, you know, Diod should just A-move and win, but he messed this up. 2 4s going down as he fights the Locusts without the Hellbats there, which would get rid of them very quickly. Then he runs into the Roach Ravager with more or less just Hellbats and nothing else. Ling run by doing damage on Marnie is pulling himself back into this game. What is going on right now? Absolute insanity is going to be seeing these Vikings and 4s once again fighting over here. I mean, he's kind of committed into this position, but Diod will lose absolutely everything. Absolutely everything. Roaches. Ravagers. Going to be pulling away over to the left-hand side now. Still some Hellbats just working their way through this hatchery, but I mean, what a defense, what a turnaround in this game. As we're going to be seeing the Hellbats getting cleaned up, so Hellbats getting killed, cleaned up right now. Going to see 2 more Ravagers starting to build up over here. Army moving forwards, but the tanks are unsieged. They're on their own again, and it's Diod. He's just making some mistakes, and oh no, the Corrosive Bile's going to pick off 2 more siege tanks. Really, really, really bad trades. I mean, I hate to kind of be criticize the player a lot, but this was a difficult game to screw up, and unfortunately for Diod, he really has screwed this up. This lead that he's had. Now his opponent's running amok. You know, he's got units all over the place. He's picking off a tank here, a tank there. We're going to see Swarm Hosts in the main, and there's absolutely no counter to this right now. Like a couple of missile turrets. Not going to be doing too much. Here we go, dropping on down. The Locusts are going to get so much done here. Going to start going after whatever units are popping out. Reactors. The reactor on the starport is a nice one. I mean, just in general, slowing down production by starting down reactors, tech labs, and all the rest of it. And this is just a consistent distraction that our Terran player is going to have to deal with now if he can't find a way to attack and to push these Swarm Hosts away. So Swarm Hosts continue to move around, and again, position once again. Locust is about to be off cooldown. Still, Diod's army positioning to the left to push on forwards here. And as we're going to be seeing, the Hydralisk Den is on the way up in the main base. So Hydra Den coming on up in the main. SCV's pulling over here and just going to start getting mining on the far right-hand side as well. Vikings overhead going to be, again, a nice way to kind of push back any mutas, etc. But there's not really any of those anymore, so I'm not sure what these Vikings are going to do. I mean, they'd be nice against Vipers as well, but that's not something we really see at this point of the game. As we just see the Locusts pushing on forwards. Right-hand side base, which isn't orbital. The main base just relocating. We'll be in a bit of trouble as, Armani just going to push through the front. He is just going to be able to take down a little bit at the front here. Is going to be seeing the Hellbats continue to drop on down. 4's pushing on forwards as well. Talk's coming back. Actually, this Roach Ravager 4's getting a little bit trapped right now. For the first time in a while, it's actually going to be a good, decent fight from Diod. But look at the money Armani has. 1k in the bank. Immediately able to just spend that. Actually, a little bit supply blocked right now. So trying to get out of that with the Overlord production. But really has been looking rather reasonable for Armani still in the last few trades. Now he finds the CC. Will push that away instantly as well. And so Diod is kind of just kept to very limited mining, as he is mining out of the Natra and third. We're 14 minutes in. It's been a crazy back and forth game. Huge lead for Diod early, and then some really good engagements from Armani to pull himself back into this. As we're just going to be seeing Locust getting cleaned out pretty speedily. Pretty speedily indeed. I'm going to have the Orbital going to land back over to the right-hand side again here in the next couple of moments. Again, more Swarm Hosts to the left. Going to see the Roaches too, just going to relocate, kind of loop around. Some Corrosive Biles coming on in. So, well, nice fire over the Vikings. The tanks are sieged, of course, and that is something Armani does have to give a lot of respect to. Those tanks will just decimate this Roach Ravager. And it's going to be seen the Liberator is going to siege up on top of this as well. 2 Liberators going to siege over to the side. We're just going to be trying to work their way through this supply depot or 2 on the far left as well right now. And again, a set of Swarm Hosts moving up the left and thinking about what they want to get done. Some tanks on siege going to push up the right-hand sides themselves. Liberators going to relocate themselves also. And again, as the tanks siege up, we're going to see this hatchery going to start taking some damage pretty much right away. Some Corrosive Biles dropping down. Liberators are going to take some heavy hits, and that's going to be seeing a little bit more damage being done here and there. As, again, just Locust popping up. Diod, though, the lack of mining, I think, is what's really going to get to him. One base now back up and running. The Locusts find themselves another decent trade. There's another 4 that goes down. And as long as he can, delay long enough so that the attack doesn't come in while he's, basically kind of missing kind of Locust Wave, he should still be pretty fine in this situation. So, still sort of just setting up towards this and looking to see what will be happening next. Tanks continue to come on out. Liberator as well is being produced. And tanks still just setting up over on the right-hand side of the map. More Roaches, more Ravagers coming on into play. We see a Liberator as well, a couple more tanks. I still like the composition of Diode. I still feel it's got potential, but it feels as though Armani is doing all the right things to fight against this, with what is still a relatively kind of low-tech solution. The majority Roaches and a few Swarm Hosts mixed in. The Roach run-by over here is nice to slow down some of these SCVs, to pick away at a few of them, of course. More Roaches continue to pop on out. Another Siege Tank will come out here as well in the near future as Locusts drop on down on top of this, and again, just some friendly fire over the Siege Tanks. It's going to make life difficult for the Terran player. And that's one of the reasons, actually, from earlier in the game, the Vikings may have been nice to keep alive. We're talking about Mutas and maybe Vipers, but actually even just kind of working their way through some Locusts before they drop down onto the ground is actually a very good use of the Vikings. So it's a shame that they did get used up and killed off, and now there's none of them left over. A maxed out heavy Ravager count with a few Roaches mixed into it, moving down the left side. Not often you'll see the Zerg player expanding down the left side of the map when they spawn in the top left like this, but makes a lot of sense if the Terran's focusing on the right-hand side to protect his own bases. So coming on over right here, and you're going to be seeing the units coming forwards, and well, nice corrosive battles, gets rid of the first Liberator right there, and that's the sort of issue I feel Diode has. He doesn't have a way to really stabilize against so many of these corrosive battles. There's no real secure way to make this happen. So Locust's going to lift on up into the skies once again, dropping down. SCVs will start to take quite a lot of damage, so SCVs getting picked off pretty much instantly. Goodbye, SCVs. It was nice knowing you guys. Over the left-hand side, Roaches, Ravagers also trading. Tanks still not sieging. This base is actually just going to go down completely. Another huge pick-off right there. As we're going to be seeing again, this hatchery will be finishing up shortly. And the Swarm Hosts looking around themselves to see where they can go, what they can get up to. There's 10 more Mutas on the way out also. I mean, there's very little anti-air left on the map, so the Mutas might just be a killing blow right now. As Diode, what does he do to fight them? I mean, he doesn't have any income, so he can't really make any anti-air. So he can try and hope that the tanks kill the entire 4 or 5 bases in time, but I think that's a very unreasonable way, or unrealistic way to look at things. As here we go, the Mutas will fly on in, and Diode might just GG out instantly because he knows how little anti-air he has. The one Liberator is the only hope he has, and it does go down. And that should be... well, he might wait for the tanks to die, just for the entertainment factor. That's the GG from a huge lead. Diode is going to, unfortunately, I would say kind of throw it away a little bit. I don't like to call things throws, but that really, if there ever was a throw, that probably was a throw. GG's. And Armani takes game number 5, a 4-1